Hi, this is Mr. Smith, also known as 1T, because my mother spelled my name Scott with just 1T. Don't know why. So here I am bunkered down in my apartment trying to ride out this virus just like so many other people. I don't know about you, but I was really hopeful we were going to be able to meet face to face. I'd much rather be doing that right now and getting to meet you personally. But it is what it is, and we're going to make the most of a less than ideal situation. And I'm here to do everything I can to help you be successful in this course this semester. So I'm originally from Southern California. That was where I was raised. And 8 years ago, well, actually about 7 years ago, I moved with my wife to Houston, Texas, so that I could teach at a community college called San Jacinto College down there. So I taught there for 6 years, and then we decided to move up to Dallas because our oldest son and his wife are here, and it looks like, well, at the time it looked like they'd be here for a while, and that is the case. And so that's what brought us here. So all to say, the first year at Brookhaven has been quite eventful and stressful, whatever else you want to call it. It's been pretty crazy. But anyway, I'm looking forward to starting a new year. And, you know, the bottom line is, despite all that's going on, I feel quite fortunate. In fact, obviously I have a job. And in fact, I have my dream job. You know, I've always enjoyed mathematics, and I love math. And I love teaching math at the community college level. So I've been doing this for some time, and I really enjoy what I do, and I feel like I'm making a difference in the lives of students, and that's what keeps me going. So, you know, the thing I like about the community college is a lot of students come here, and maybe they didn't have the best learning experiences in high school, and so, you know, you get a fresh start, and students can go on and meet their goals. We also have a lot of students that are returning. They get out in the real world, and eventually they figure out what they want to do, and so they come back. Or sometimes we have people that put off their education for years, maybe to raise a family, and then they come back. And a lot of times those are our most motivated students because they really appreciate the opportunity to come back. And you know, the other thing is, as we all know, math can be a real stumbling block. And I've literally had students that put off that last math course to the very end. They don't really let you do that these days. But all to say, I don't want to see math be the thing that stops you from reaching a goal. And I'll do everything I can help you to get through at least get through your first math course here and get you started on the right track. So, you know, I'm going to spend the rest of this video introducing you to myself in a little more detail, just trying to share some of the important highlights in my life that have kind of formed the person that I am. And I hope when I give you the opportunity to introduce yourself to me and to the class that you will take advantage of that, because I think that's important as far as building some community, even though we're online. And I really encourage you to make every effort you can to try to get to know some of the other students in this course this semester. So anyway, my life started out quite rocky. My mom and my father literally, in the first 5 years of my life, they moved every time my father would get in trouble with the law. The biggest problem was he was legally blind, and he didn't let that stop him from driving. And so whenever he got into enough trouble, they would move to the next state. So we moved to a number of different states, and when I was 5 years old, my father was actually shot and killed in a bar, and my mom was left with 3 young children under the 5 and under. I was the oldest. So all to say, things were quite difficult. You know, I can't imagine what my mom must have had to deal with in those early days. But my mom was a very loving mother. She always made great sacrifices for us, and we never went without food. She worked hard. She did whatever she had to do, and she did have family to count on, and that made a big difference. But as a result, I was quite motivated as her son to be successful. You know, and growing up without a father, I knew someday I wanted to be the father that I never had. And so all to say, you know, I did well in school. I worked hard. I enjoyed learning, but unfortunately, when it was time to go to college, I learned, well, a couple things happened. My mom got remarried, and my stepfather wasn't the greatest guy. He literally forced my mom and us to basically, when we reached that point where we were at high school, we had to go out on our own. They weren't going to help us in terms of college. We couldn't even stay at the house, so we had to be on our way. So anyway, all to say, I was not in a position to get the scholarships I needed to go to the schools I wanted to go to, and so I joined the Army. And so I joined for 2 years, and while I was there, I earned scholarships, and I saved money so that when I got out, I would have a dependable car to get me through college. And so after I got out of the military, I settled back into Southern California, and I enrolled at Cerritos Community College, which was basically done for practical reasons because I wanted to save money. I knew as a teacher I wasn't going to make a whole lot of money, so I didn't want to get into a lot of college debt. And I felt like I was settling a little bit, even though I was trying to be practical. I always thought of myself as, I was a straight A student, I was university material. But I actually had an incredibly good experience at Cerritos College. I met some really great teachers that inspired me to become a math teacher later on at the community college. And what I've learned is some of the best teachers you will find are at the community college. So all to say, that's been my experience. And by the way, while I was working through college, I was working really hard. I worked as a lifeguard and a swim instructor. So I literally played with kids and taught them how to swim, and they paid me for that. They actually paid me pretty well. And so that's how I worked my way through college. Now, then I transferred to Long Beach State after a couple of years, and that's where I actually met my wife, not at Long Beach State, but during that period of time. And we dated for about 2 years, and then we got married. And by the way, she's also a math teacher. It wasn't really what brought us together, but it was quite a coincidence. And so, we're the nerdy family with 2 math teachers married. But anyway, it's worked out pretty well. My wife had, I had the less than stellar upbringing with all the chaos in my upbringing, but my wife had an incredibly great upbringing and very stable. And so I literally married a family, and that's been quite a blessing to me over the years. And my wife and I have been married for over 30 years, and we've raised 3 sons, and we're now considered empty nesters because they're out of the house. So anyway, after I got out of college, I did kind of struggle a little bit in my career. I taught at the high school level for a while, and it just wasn't the right fit for me. So I eventually entered the business world. I had a friend, and he was building a new business, and it was exciting to be a part of that, and I really enjoyed it for a while, but eventually I knew I wanted to go back and teach, and so I ended up going back to get my master's 10 years after I got my bachelor's degree. I went to Cal State Fullerton, which again is in Southern California, and so here we were with 3 boys, 5 and under, and I was going back to school and getting my master's, and all to say, those were challenging days. We were like the tag team parents. My wife would work at her math teaching job during the day, and when she came home, I would take off and go take classes, or also taught classes at Cal State Fullerton. So believe me when I say I know what it means to sacrifice. In fact, I feel like I've sacrificed throughout all my educational years. And so I get it when students tell me their stories about how hard it is. I've been there. So we ended up raising our 3 sons in Arizona in a town called Peoria. It turned out to be a great place. We had a great experience raising our kids there. Yes, it was super hot, like crazy hot in the summer, but I'll tell you, the winters were awesome. But anyway, I think I'm going to spend the rest of my time, or most of it, telling you a little bit about my boys. So I'm going to start with my oldest one, who is Wesley. And he actually ended up going to a college called Wesley in Nebraska, believe it or not. And actually had a great experience there. He loved soccer. He grew up on soccer, and he wanted to play soccer in the college, and honestly, if he had more speed, he probably would have been Division 1, but he didn't. He had his father's speed, so he was pretty slow. Ended up at a Division 3 type school. I don't remember what exact division they were in, but it still was an incredible experience for him. He did a lot in terms of leadership and just I mean, I could spend a lot of time talking about that, but I'm just going to say it was such a great experience that it really did prepare him well to go into medical school, where he went next, and he ended up at UT Southwestern, and he actually just graduated this past May, and he's currently in residency, and so far so good. Things are going well. So he's an example of how things can really change and things can surprise you. Because when he was a freshman in high school, I remember what a pain he was. I mean, I couldn't tell you how many times I had to talk to his teachers because of his behavior. He was a little bit of a goofball. But he also really didn't particularly care for school, and he was more into the social aspects. I mean, he was smart and he got good grades, but he really did the minimum. In fact, he took pride in getting the lowest A possible, like just barely 90%. But all to say, we never would have expected him to become a doctor because of all the years that are involved, but go figure, he eventually got inspired, and that's what he ended up doing. Well, my second son, for my wife and I, which are both math teachers, he was like our dream child as far as academics, because he loved math. And he's the only one of the three that really loved math. They were all decent at it, but he is exceptional. And so we always thought he would be a mathematician or an engineer, and sure enough, he went to Texas A&M, had an incredible experience there, and he's currently working in it. Went back to Peoria, Arizona, or that area, and him and his wife are there, and he's got a great job at a great engineering firm, a small family-oriented firm, so he's really enjoying that. And so that's my middle son. And then there's my third son, which I kind of call my wild card. He's the one that I thought was going to drive me crazy those last couple of years before he left. In fact, you know, he's the only one I ever had a problem with ditching school and just lacked motivation. And, you know, I don't know how we got him through. I mean, I never thought I'd have to say this, but I don't know how we got him through that last year. He was just so unmotivated and so determined to go out and do his own thing. In fact, his birthday, I should say the day after his birthday, he took off and went off to Oregon, and you know, he was like determined to be on his way, and it's like good riddance, you know. But eventually, you know, he decided he did like mom and dad, and we have a really great relationship now. But there was some rough days, and you know, I call him the wild card. He's definitely not in the college thing. You know, I'm sure you've realized that sometimes you have to take classes and bear them, grin and bear it, even though maybe the professor's just not very good or whatever the case. But all to say, my son cannot put up with that kind of thing. It's got to be practical, it's got to be interesting, or it's really difficult for him to stay committed. But in the last 3 years, he's had 3 really actually pretty good jobs. He worked for AT&T, and he was literally one step from taking a management position where he would have made $120,000 a year. He ended up deciding that that was too big of a jump because he had not been a manager, and eventually he actually ended up deciding he wanted to do something else. He ended up doing vertical or horizontal drilling at a mine. And so basically they would drill into the side of the mountain to relieve pressure, so hopefully there's less chance of landslides and that kind of stuff. And it's hard work, but he was literally on track to earn over $100,000 a year. So it was good money, certainly more money than I make as a community college professor. And now he's currently working with an old friend in a tree business, also in Arizona. Last 2 jobs have been in Arizona. But anyway, again, he works hard. He's doing tree trimming, but believe me, in the summer, that is hard work You know, he's been out in temperatures above 110 degrees. So all to say he's earning his money, but again, he's going to earn over $100,000 in his first year. So, and who knows what he'll be doing in another couple of years. He's just that kind of personality. Like I said, he's my wild card. So anyway, that tells you a little bit about the boys. I do want to share a couple of pictures. You know, one of the stories I didn't tell you was about when I was in the Army. I actually had a summer where I worked at a military resort. It was a special duty. And so I got to work at a military resort in Possum Kingdom, which is about an hour and a half from Dallas. They used to have a military recreational area there. It's actually no longer there. And so I worked there for a while. This is actually a picture from those days. Oh, those were the good old days when I had hair. And then I'll show you a picture of my kids. This is when they were young. So we had a lot of fun. We did a lot of wrestling. And they grow up though, and that's what they look like these days. So anyway, it's been quite, it was quite a privilege to raise three sons, but it was also a lot of work, as you can see by the hair that I no longer have. Anyway, personally, I'm into riding bikes. I like to take trips or bike around the town. I like to play tennis. I like to swim for fitness, but also just like jumping in a lake and swimming to me is an awesome thing. My wife and I are big family people. We love to do game nights, and we just sit around a table and play games and just have some good fun hanging out together. When we were younger, we used to do a lot of camping and just have tons of stories I could tell you about our camping trips. And these days, we just like to meet in a cabin. It makes things a lot easier. And this last Christmas, we had all the family there, and it was just good to have a few days together. And we were in the snow, and so we played in the snow a little bit. But those are the kinds of things we like to do. Big family people. We try to be as active as we can be. So anyway, that's enough about me. I'm going to go ahead and just say I'm really looking forward to this semester, and I hope you have a great experience. And please don't hesitate to contact me if you ever need anything. I'm here to help you be successful. That's it.